Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker. Thank you for joining me today. Today I have a Christmas card to share with you that is very pink. I've been putting a lot of pink in my Christmas cards lately, which is kind of crazy because a few years back I would have never put any pink on my Christmas cards, but lately I've been kind of obsessed with it. I have a piece of Bristol Smooth paper and a couple of colors of Distress Oxide ink. I'm using the colors Spun Sugar and Victorian Velvet. At first, I was just going to use my ink blenders and build up the color on this panel, but I got a little bit impatient, especially with that Spun Sugar, which is such a light color, so I ended up just grabbing the ink pads and dragging them across the page, and then I blended them together once that ink was on the page, and I actually kind of like the effect that that gave. I pulled out my Gansai Tambi watercolor set, and I'm going to use this pretty rose gold color, and I used a very small paintbrush in order to add some flicks of that onto the panel. Next, I added some clean water droplets to the panel, and I let them sit for a little while, and then I took a paper towel and soaked them up, and what this does is it pulls up some of the ink in those areas. I grabbed my watercolor set again, and this time I'm going to be flicking on some white drops of paint. I let the paint dry, and I grabbed a T-square ruler and a white gel pen, and then I added a border around the edge of the panel, and this panel is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. I took the quilted stencil from Simon Says Stamp and I taped it on top of the panel. Then I took my palette knife and I went over the stencil with some transparent gloss texture paste. And once I finished spreading that out, I took that stencil off of the paper while the texture paste was still wet. I set that panel aside to dry for a while, and I took out the joyful die cuts from CZ Design. I cut the word out of some white cardstock and the outline cut out of some vellum. I added a bunch of small dots of Gina Designs Connect glue behind those letters, and then I glued them onto the vellum piece. Now, I let my texture paste background dry for about an hour. You want to give it a good amount of time to dry, and you'll see that that texture paste turns completely clear when it's dry. I glued my die cut word onto the panel. Now it is a little bit harder for things to stick onto that texture paste, but I found that I got it to stick really well by just holding down that word with my hand for about a minute. I used some foam tape to pop that panel up onto an A2 size card base. I stamped a couple of smaller sentiments to go with my die cut sentiment. These are from the Tiny Words stamp set and the Tiny Words Christmas stamp set. I'm stamping them with Dusty Rose ink from Gina Designs, and I'm stamping them onto Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock. One of those sentiments said sending hugs, and I only wanted it to say sending, so I used a piece of tape in order to mask off the hugs while I did the inking up, and then I removed that tape and stamped it, and it only stamped the word sending. I cut those sentiments down into small strips, and then I popped them up above and below my die cut sentiment with some foam tape, so now my full sentiment says sending joyful Christmas hugs. By the way, I love that joyful die so much. I am at the point right now where I literally have to stop myself from using it on every single card so that I have some different things to show you guys. I definitely highly recommend anything that Kathy Zilski puts out. I love her style and her clean fonts. Anyways, I started to add the finishing touches to this card, and the first thing that I did is I added some sequins. These sequins are from a few different mixes of sequins. I've got the Heaven Sent mix and the White Orchid mix, both from Lucy's Cards, and also the Girl's Best Friend mix from Simon Says Stamp. Finally, to finish up the card, I took my Wink of Stella glitter brush and I added a little bit of sparkle to this card by going over the white letters on the word joyful. This is really subtle, but I always love those small details. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you really enjoyed today's card design, and I hope that it inspires you. I have links for all of the supplies that I used today in the description down below, and remember that anytime you click on one of those links, you're helping to support my channel at no extra cost to you. If you enjoyed watching, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I do new videos every single week, and I'm going to be back with another one really soon. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.